Hi, my name is Joe Thomas. I'm going to be talking to you today about the actions of Task Force Ranger in Mogadishu, Somalia from October 3rd to October 4th, 1993. I was a member of Task Force Ranger. I was a platoon forward observer for 2nd Platoon, Bravo Company, 3rd Ranger Battalion, and what we'll talk about in CHOP 2 as we go along through today's discussion. So, Somalia is on the eastern coast of Africa. It's known as the Horn of Africa. And in 1992, the country was devastated by a famine, which was exacerbated by the fact that the country didn't have a central government and was ruled by warring clans. In December of 1992, President Bush ordered the deployment of U.S. Troops to lead the UN involvement there. And after increasing conflict, President Clinton ordered the deployment of Task Force Ranger in August of 1993. Task Force Ranger was made up of an assault force, had an assault force of a special mission unit in 2 Blackhawk helicopters and 4 MAJ Little Birds. A blocking force comprised of 2 platoons from Bravo Company, 3rd Ranger Battalion, and 4 Blackhawk helicopters. A ground support element with headquarters with a battalion commander, and a platoon from Bravo Company, 3rd Ranger Battalion in gun trucks and 5-ton trucks, cargo trucks. We also had a combat search and rescue element, 15 Rangers in a Blackhawk helicopter, a command and control element in a Blackhawk helicopter, and they would pass orders and video feeds down to the ground troops. And then air support provided by the 160th Special Operations Aviation Regiment in 4 AH-6 Little Birds, and they were the attack helicopters. In total, there would be about 135 folks that would be on the ground in Mogadishu on October 3rd and 4th. So Task Force Ranger, again, deployed to Somalia in August. We set up a headquarters at the Mogadishu airport, just along the coast of Somalia. And day to day, when we weren't doing missions, which we did conduct several missions prior to October 3rd, we were out in the desert training. We would do small arms marksmanship training, demolition training. We would do mission rehearsals, and we would do fire support training. This is from the fire support training that we were doing out in the desert, and this young man is actually me. So Sundays, kind of down days in the hangar. We lived inside this hangar, just off the airfield, and on Sundays we would exercise and play volleyball and things of that nature, or just relax in the hangar. But on Sunday, October 3rd, somebody yelled into the hangar door, "Get it on!" And what "get it on" meant to us is that we would put on our uniforms, put on all our equipment, and wait by our cots for the order to go out and load up on our helicopters. This is one of the members of the Special Mission Unit on the assault force after he'd gotten it on and was standing by his bunk. So we got the order to go out to the helicopters, and at about 3:30, exactly at 3:32, we're sitting on our helicopters, and we heard Irene come over the radios. Now, Irene was the code word for, it was the code to launch us on the operation. These are a couple of pictures from 1993, Blackhawk helicopters flying in trail here, and then Little Birds for the assault force flying in trail there. Now, some of you may have seen the movie Black Hawk Down, very good movie. Very realistic movie, particularly the scene where they get in the helicopters after Irene, the code word is given, and they fly into the city. So I'll share just a couple of pictures that show the similarities between 1993 and the movie Black Hawk Down. So this is Rangers flying in a Black Hawk helicopter, and here's a scene from the movie. And then this is us flying over the city of Mogadishu, the Mogadishu port, and this is from the movie. If you haven't seen the movie, I highly recommend it. Very well done. Now, when you get into the target area, the men in the Blackhawks would fast rope into position Fast roping is when you slide down a thick rope because your helicopters can't land there. The streets of Mogadishu are very narrow, made mostly of dirt and littered with debris. This is the only picture taken on the streets of Mogadishu on October 3rd. Here in the picture, you can see a fast rope that had been after people land on the ground. The helicopter cuts the fast rope loose, releases it, and it's fallen on the ground there. This sketch that I'm showing here was made by then Lieutenant Tom DiDamaso, who was my platoon leader. He wrote this. He made this sketch for a paper he wrote in the Infantry Officer Advanced course in 1994. Fortunately for us, somebody recreated it, so we don't have to look at this again. The assault force landed on the objective area right here, and the Rangers fast roped into blocking positions. Chalk 2, where I was located, Chalk 1, Chalk 3, and Chalk 4. Now, Chalk 4 landed about a block, or fast roped about a block north of where they should have been because of debris and obstacles in the area. We landed at 4:02 p.m. While the assault force was loading, we landed shortly after 3:30, about 3:45. We were under fire immediately, but the objective was secure at 4:02 p.m. While the assault force was loading the prisoners onto a vehicle, Blackhawk was shot down at 4:20 and crashed 4 blocks northeast of our position, right here on this sketch. And we split our chalk in two, and half of our group ran to the crash site. I'm gonna stop here real quick and show you a short video of actual footage from October 3rd, 1993, and this was from 60 Minutes.
60 Minutes was able to obtain this surveillance video of the battle, which has not been seen publicly until now. Here you can see the very beginning of the mission. Putin was flown in on one of these little bird helicopters to the target building, which was quickly enveloped in clouds of dust. How well did you and your men execute the main objective of the mission?
It was flawless. From the time we set down to the time we called for the helicopters to come back and get us, I would say it was no more than 5 minutes and it was over.
So you thought you were going back, it was done?
Yes. The helicopters were on their way back to the target to pick us up. We had everybody that we've been trying to get for months was in one package, in one mission.
Then, from this rooftop, with his men under fire, Putin watched as the lead Blackhawk Super 6-1 headed towards him.
And it took a direct hit to the tail boom and started a slow rotation.
How hard did it hit?
It was a catastrophic impact. That's the only way I can describe it.
This is Super 6-1 moments after it was hit by a rocket-propelled grenade, spinning out of control before it's torn apart on impact.
And Lara's complete report on the 20th anniversary of Blackhawk Down, seen this Sunday on 60 Minutes.
So where the Blackhawk helicopter crashed, back to the sketch, was right here. After we got to the crash site, the CSAR team, or remember that Combat Search and Rescue Team, 15 Rangers and one Blackhawk helicopter, fast roped into the street about right here, and Chalks 1 and 3 ran up the street about 7 blocks and ended up at the crash site as well. While we were at the crash site, we were under heavy enemy fire and trying to get the crew who had been killed. Some survived and some have been killed. And we're trying to get the ones that were killed out of the helicopter, but they were trapped. While all this was going on, the ground convoy was trying to get to our location. So the ground convoy had pulled up near Chalk 3 by the objective building, loaded the prisoners up, and after we all moved on foot up there, they were trying to get to us. Now, they were being controlled from the helicopter, that command and control helicopter that was flying overhead, and because of the delays in communications and that sort of thing, they ended up taking just a kind of a circuitous route all over the area and never were able to link up with us. But they were under incredible fire and they were taking directions from the command and control helicopter, but they couldn't get to the crash site. They drove around for almost an hour under heavy fire and rocket-propelled grenade attacks. By this time, they had taken a huge amount of casualties and had to return to the airfield. Back at the crash site, we still had Somalis attacking us, and I called in air support from Little Birds to keep them away from us. While this was going on, a second helicopter, piloted by Mike Durant, Super 64 was its call sign, was shot down at 4:35 p.m. Two men, Master Sergeant Gordon and Sergeant First Class Randy Shugart, volunteered to secure the crash site. They landed a short distance away from this crash site and went in and protected Mike Durant. The rest of the crew had been killed at this point. But both Gordon and Shugart were killed at 5:40 p.m. on October 3rd. We continued to fight our way back, at the first crash site. Now, when it was dark, we moved the wounded into the buildings, into these buildings here, and continued to try to free Chief Warrant Officer Cliff Woolcott. At 11:23, a relief convoy consisting of 10th Mountain armored Humvees, Malaysians in armored personnel carriers, these Condor armored personnel carriers, and Pakistani tanks left the airfield and headed our way. They got to the first crash site, our crash site, at 1:55 a.m., and we loaded our dead and wounded onto the APCs. At 5:30 a.m., the body of Clifton Elvis Woolcott was freed from the wreckage. And those of us that weren't wounded, we stayed on foot and ran out of the area into what was known as the Mogadishu Mile. At 6:30 a.m., we arrived at a soccer stadium controlled by the Pakistanis and waited for helicopters to get back to the airfield. So here inside the Pakistani stadium, all the wounded and dead were taken here, and the folks that had to run out ran into the Humvees and then were driven here to the Pakistani stadium, which was not too far away. In the end, at the end of the battle, 2 Blackhawks were shot down, and one, the combat search and rescue helicopter, was hit with an RPG and it was mechanically, it made it back to the airfield, but was completely disabled. There were 18 U.S. soldiers killed, 1 captured, and 84 wounded. That left 33 out of the original 135 ground troops uninjured. In the aftermath of the battle, the Clinton administration reinforced Task Force Ranger with another Ranger company, Alpha Company, 3rd Ranger Battalion, on 6th of October, and they sent an AC-130 to Mogadishu as well. The task force never captured ID. We did capture quite a few of his lieutenants, but the ultimate target was never captured. And we redeployed. We came back to Fort Benning, Georgia in October, at the end of October 1993. And ultimately, all U.S. troops withdrew from Somalia in March of 1994. Mike Durant, who was a helicopter pilot that was shot down at the second crash site, was captured by Somalis. He was freed in October after a period of negotiation, October of 1993. And Master Sergeant Gordon and Sergeant First Class Shugart were both posthumously awarded the Medals of Honor. The Battle of October 3rd and 4th had some long-lasting strategic implications for U.S. policy. In 1994, there was a situation in Haiti where we were going to invade the country. Elements of Ranger Regiment, Special Operations, other Special Operations Forces, and the 82nd Airborne were going to go into Haiti. At the last moment, there was a negotiation that happened back and forth, and the invasion was canceled. Also in 1994, there was an ongoing genocide in the country of Rwanda in Africa. 700,000 people were killed ultimately, but the administration did not deploy any military forces or really take much action at all. There was no intervention whatsoever, and it was a costly and catastrophic loss of life. And then in 1990s as well, 1994, 1995, there was an ongoing civil war in the country of Bosnia-Herzegovina. 100,000 people were killed there in Europe. There was genocidal leaders. They had set up concentration camps on both sides. And again, no intervention. That's what I have for you today. I appreciate you guys giving me the opportunity to speak with you remotely. And if you have any questions at all, please let Mr. Pritz know, and he'll get them to me. Thanks a lot. Have a great day.